Sierah Catherine Joughin was born on February 11th, 1996 in Sylvania, Ohio, to Sheila Vikulik and Tom Jogen. Affectionately known as C by those closest to her, she completed her secondary education at Evergreen High School in 2014. By 2016, Sierah was pursuing a degree in Human Resource Management at the University of Toledo's Junior College of Business and was working hard to achieve her goals. Additionally, she was interning at her uncle's metal stamping business, showcasing her dedication to both her studies and professional development. Sierah was deeply adored by her family and was described as vivacious, dedicated, caring and compassionate. Around 6:45 p.m. on July 19th, 2016, Jogen was riding her bicycle home from her boyfriend Josh Kolosinski's residence, accompanied by him on his motorcycle. They parted ways near County Road 6 in Metamora, Ohio, within Fulton County, as he headed back home while she continued on her journey. Concern arose when she failed to return home that evening, prompting her family to contact authorities after her boyfriend informed them of his inability to reach her by phone. Josh told ABC News, quote, "I remember exactly what I said. I kissed her, I told her I loved her, and to text me when she got home." Tragically, Sierah never did. Later that evening, as search parties scoured the vicinity for any sign of Sierah, her purple bicycle was found several rows deep into a cornfield near the location where she was last seen. The county sheriff observed signs of a struggle at the scene, alongside motorcycle tracks imprinted in the cornfield. With the collaboration of the FBI, authorities attempted to trace Sierah's whereabouts using her Fitbit activity tracker and her smartphone. Although her phone emitted a signal several miles away from where her bicycle was discovered, this effort failed to yield any significant leads. To incentivize the public's cooperation, rewards ranging from $25,000 to $100,000 were offered for any information that could contribute to her safe recovery. Near Sierah's bicycle, several items not belonging to her were discovered, including a pair of men's sunglasses which tested positive for male DNA, a screwdriver, and a box of automotive fuses. Additionally, a passing farmer found a motorcycle helmet with a bloody handprint abandoned on the side of the road on the night Sierah vanished. Despite these findings, Sierah's boyfriend, Josh, who was an avid motorcycle rider and the last person to see Sierah alive, was cleared of suspicion as his helmet was accounted for. He was fully cooperative with authorities, giving them details of the route they took and where Sierah was last seen, and he consented to authorities searching his residence, motorcycle, and his truck without hesitation. During the investigation, James Dean Worley, a nearby resident, claimed his motorcycle had broken down in the area and that he had lost items matching those found at the scene. He admitted to taking one of two bicycles discovered in the cornfield, suggesting his fingerprints would be on it. However, he denied any involvement in theft or harming Sierah, who remained missing at this time. Another witness reported seeing a speeding van in the area and provided authorities with its license plate number, which was traced back to none other than Worley. His previous conviction for assaulting and attempting to abduct a woman from her bicycle raised suspicions, leading investigators to obtain a search warrant for his property. During the search of a barn on Worley's property, authorities made disturbing discoveries. Inside a green chest, they discovered several pairs of women's underwear, one of which was stained with blood, alongside restraints and a blood-stained carpet-lined freezer. Additionally, blood was found on Worley's motorcycle, and his truck contained zip-tie restraints and a ski mask. Further evidence emerged as Sierah's DNA was detected on a piece of duct tape and an inflatable mattress found within the barn. Investigators also unearthed recording devices scattered throughout the property. Cell phone records indicated Worley's presence at the abduction scene for nearly 2 hours during the time frame of Sierra's disappearance. Adding to the disturbing revelations, Worley disclosed to a court-mandated therapist after his previous conviction that he, quote, learned from each abduction he had done and the next one he was going to bury. On July 22nd, just 3 days after Jougin's disappearance, Worley was subsequently arrested and charged with abduction. A spokesperson for the Fulton County Sheriff's Office raised concerns that Worley fit the profile of a serial offender and suggested the possibility of additional victims, potentially held captive on the property. Despite extensive searches, neither Jogen nor any human remains were found at the site. On the very day of Worley's arrest, on July 22, 2016, at approximately 6 p.m, the remains of 20-year-old Sierah Joughin were tragically uncovered in a shallow grave, situated in a field along County Road 7 in Delta, Ohio, just 2 miles southwest of Worley's property. Shockingly, her body was found intact but subjected to horrifying circumstances. Hog-tied, with her wrists handcuffed and bound to her ankles behind her back. Additionally, a large plastic toy served as a gag in her mouth, and she was wearing an adult diaper. Investigators theorised that Worley encountered Joughin on his motorcycle, attacked her with his helmet, and later returned with his truck to abduct her. They believe he kept her in his barn until she asphyxiated and then disposed of her body. After her body was removed from the scene for forensic examination, an autopsy revealed the cause of death to be asphyxiation directly resulting from the gag. There was no evidence of sexual assault. While the exact time of death could not be determined, medical professionals officially declared her deceased at 9 p.m. on July 22, 2016. On August 16, 2016, Worley was indicted on 19 charges, including aggravated murder, kidnapping, and abuse of a corpse in connection with Jougin's death. He pleaded not guilty to all charges. Prosecutors sought the death penalty for aggravated murder. Trial proceedings began in March 2018, presided over by Judge Jeffrey Robinson at the Fulton County Common Pleas Court in Wauseon, Ohio. The prosecution claimed that Worley watched pornography before the crime, as shown by his web history. They alleged he attacked Joughin on County Road 6, hitting her with his motorcycle helmet, possibly rendering her unconscious and leaving DNA on it. He then waited in a cornfield until dark, calling his brother about his motorcycle breakdown, though prosecutors believed he was near Joughin during the call. Worley rode home, drove his van back to the scene, noted by a speeding witness, and took her to his barn. There, he assaulted, bound, and gagged her with a toy, leading to asphyxiation. Prosecutors argued that Worley intended this, as the gag was inserted forcefully enough to break a tooth. Finally, he buried her body about 2 feet deep in a nearby cornfield. Worley maintained his innocence, denying any involvement with Sierah Joughin. His defence contended that items found in the barn, such as underwear, handcuffs, and BDSM-related objects, were intended for a pornography studio he planned to establish. Worley continued to claim he left the helmet and other evidence near Joughin's bicycle before her disappearance during a motorcycle breakdown. They suggested that the low concentration of Worley's DNA on the helmet meant it could have been used by someone else. Additionally, a witness reported seeing a man in red shorts in a field, but as no red shorts were found on Worley's property, his defence argued against his presence in the cornfield. During the trial, the prosecution presented several important witnesses. Megan Roberts, a BCI special agent, testified about physical evidence recovered at the alleged kidnapping site, from Worley's residence and the location where Joughin's body was found, much of which contained both individuals' DNA. David Morford, a Toledo police detective, provided testimony regarding digital evidence, including cell phone records showing Worley in the vicinity of the crime scene for over 2 hours and evidence on his home computer, which included searches for disturbing terms such as hogtied teen, rape, stranded, and helpless. Additionally, Robin Gardner, the previous victim of Worley, bravely testified that in July 1990, Worley ran her down with his truck, held a screwdriver to her neck, and threatened to kill her if she didn't come with him. Worley was sentenced to 4 to 10 years in prison for this crime, but was released after serving only 3 years. Gardner told ABC News in regards to testifying, quote, "I felt very strongly I had to be her voice. I knew the fear. She wasn't there. I had to speak for her." Throughout the trial, Worley's defence team themselves presented multiple witnesses, 2 of whom were close friends of his. Under cross-examination, the first friend acknowledged that the helmet found at the abduction site was the same one he had bought for Worley years earlier. The second witness testified to their shared activities of smoking marijuana and watching pornography. He recalled Worley discussing plans to establish a pornography studio in his barn, where he was also drying marijuana plants. Additionally, the witness mentioned Worley's motorcycle had electrical problems, but clarified that it had never left him stranded. The trial's closing arguments concluded on March 26, 2018, followed by jury deliberations beginning immediately afterwards. The jury deliberated for less than 6 hours before reaching their verdict. Worley was found guilty on March 28, 2018, of 17 of the original 19 charges, including aggravated murder of Sierah Joughin. In Ohio, the jury weighed factors to decide between life imprisonment or the death penalty for James Worley. His defence argued for a life sentence, citing him as a, quote, damaged man with mental health issues, including sexual paraphilia disorder, proposed by Dr. John Fabian. The defence hinted at an unnamed accomplice and an incestuous relationship with his late mother, but the prosecution dismissed these claims due to lack of evidence. The prosecution argued that Worley's upbringing and awareness of right and wrong outweighed any disorders. In the trial's penalty phase, audio recordings revealed suspicions of Worley's involvement in the disappearance of a prostitute in 2000 and another woman in the 1970s, whom Worley described as, quote, the love of his life. However, the woman remained unidentified and her fate was uncertain at the time of the recording. Before sentencing, Worley delivered a 45-minute statement characterised as, quote, rambling and disjointed by the Toledo Blade newspaper. He alleged someone else framed him for Jogen's kidnapping and murder, causing discomfort among gallery members upon referring to Sierah as a, quote, beautiful girl. On April 16, 2018, Judge Robinson upheld the jury's recommendation of capital punishment, asserting, quote, if I thought there was a snowball's chance in hell that you were innocent, you'd be looking at life. Worley was also sentenced to 11 years for kidnapping, 8 years for felonious assault, 11 months for possessing criminal tools, and 36 months each for tampering with evidence and having weapons under disability. Since April 19, 2018, Worley has been on death row at Chillicothe Correctional Institution. Initially set for June 3, 2019, his execution date was postponed twice due to appeals. In July 2020, his attorneys filed a motion with the Ohio Supreme Court for a new trial, citing alleged legal errors and concerns about his mental health. The appeal was denied, and a new execution date of May 20th, 2025 was set. James Worley remains on death row. In July 2018, Sierah Joughin's family acquired the property owned by Worley in Delta, Ohio, and demolished the main barn, dubbed by the media at the time as the, quote, barn of horrors. They also reached a $3.6 million settlement, conditional upon Worley receiving significant windfall earnings. In August 2020, the Fulton County Sheriff's Department, with FBI assistance, conducted another search of the property using excavation equipment, with ongoing investigations into Worley regarding other incidents linked to him. Sierah Joughin's funeral took place on July 28, 2016 at Christ the Word Church in Sylvania, Ohio. She was laid to rest in Amboy Township Cemetery near Metamora. Following Worley's arrest, the community organised a Take Back the Roads memorial walk along the route where Joughin's bicycle was found. Additionally, the Evergreen School District hosted a Joggin' for Joughin 5K run on October 2nd, 2016 to raise funds for the Sierah Joughin Memorial Scholarship Fund and support an Ohio legislative proposal for a violent offender registry. Originally expecting 300 participants, the event attracted a larger crowd, with participation capped at 1,600. Following Sierah Joughin's disappearance, her family launched a GoFundMe campaign to support search efforts. After her body was found, they established the Sierah Joughin Memorial Scholarship Fund with the donations, supplemented by funds raised from the 5K run organised by the school district. Managed by the Toledo Community Foundation, this scholarship benefits graduates of Evergreen High School who have been involved in varsity sports and organisations. In September 2019, the school honoured Joughin's memory by dedicating a plaque and planting 2 trees on the campus. After Joughin's murder, concerns were raised about the lack of information on convicted felons in communities. Law enforcement revealed that Worley wasn't on any offender tracking database, leading to calls for a, quote, violent offender registry in Ohio. A Change.org petition garnered over 13,000 signatures, prompting discussions among legislators about creating a database for violent offenders convicted of crimes such as murder and abduction. Introduced as Senate Bill 67, Sierah's Law was proposed in February 2017 by Senators Randy Gardner and Cliff Height in Ohio. Initially, the bill aimed to create a website for public access to search for offenders with specific convictions. However, after hearings where concerns about privacy were raised by opponents like the ACLU, the bill was modified. The revised version required residents to visit their local sheriff's office to request a search. Sierah's Law, reintroduced as Senate Bill 231 in November 2017, was advocated for by Joughin's mother before legislators in November 2018. The bill passed on December 6, 2018, and was signed into law by Governor John Kasich on December 19th. It became effective on March 20th, 2019. Following the trial, Joughin's mother and aunt established Justice for Sierah, a non-profit organisation in memory of the 20-year-old. It offers self-defence training and educates communities about safety and Sierah's Law. The organisation also hosts the annual Spirit of Sierah 5K race in Sylvania, Ohio, to honour her memory and raise awareness. Through their efforts, they aim to prevent similar tragedies from occurring and promote community safety.